In my last episode, I showed you the invisible cash flow loop the rich use. Now I'm going to show you 3 loops you can start with just $100. No trust fund required. Most people think wealth starts with a windfall, a big salary, an inheritance, a lucky break. But for the people who quietly build real freedom, it usually starts with a very unimpressive amount of money. Think about it. $100 is what many of us casually spend on takeout, subscriptions, and impulse buys in a single weekend. But in the right structure, that same $100 can become the seed of a cash flow loop that keeps spitting out money over and over again. The wealthy don't just ask, how much did I make? They ask, what system did this money build? So today, we're looking at 3 specific loops you can start with roughly $100. No fake get-rich-quick nonsense. Just boring, repeatable systems that quietly compound if you stick with them. Then stay with me, because the 3rd loop is the one almost nobody talks about, but it's the closest thing to creating a money machine from thin air. Before we jump in, let's be clear on what a cash flow loop actually is. If not just I spend money and make money, a true cash flow loop is a system. You deploy money into something that creates income. Then, that income feeds back into the same system, making it bigger or more efficient. Over time, the loop becomes less dependent on your time and more dependent on the structure you built. You don't just earn once, you create a repeatable circuit where money keeps circulating and growing. Most people build income moments. The wealthy build income loops. Let's break down the first one you can start today. Loop number 1, the micro reselling cash flow loop. This doesn't require a personal brand or advanced skills. It requires a smartphone, curiosity, and discipline. Here's how it works. You take around $100 and you hunt for underpriced items in the real world. Thrift stores, clearance racks, garage sales. You're not guessing. You're using your phone to scan and check sold listings on platforms like eBay or Vinted to see what things actually sell for, not what people are asking. You buy something for, say, $10 that regularly sells for $30 online. You clean it up, take clear photos, write an honest description, and list it. You don't need to be a genius. You just need to learn 1 or 2 categories. Pick something you're willing to nerd out on a little bit. Vintage t-shirts, old power tools, college textbooks, sneakers. Now here's where this becomes a loop, not just a one-time flip. Imagine that first batch of $100 inventory turns into $170 after fees and shipping. Most people would think, cool, an extra $70, let me spend it. But in a cash flow loop, the move is very different. You reinvest the entire $170 back into more inventory. Now, your next buying round is almost twice as strong. More products, better deals, higher margins. Do this repeatedly, and suddenly that original $100 is no longer just money you spent. It's the engine of a mini cash machine. And this is where most people quietly tool a loop without realizing it. They treat the profits like extra spending money, not fuel. The psychology is simple. They've never labeled it as a system, it's just side money. And side money gets spent. But if you name it, this is my reselling loop. This money doesn't leave the system. You give it rules, and rules protect the loop from your impulses. So ask yourself this. Could you take $100, pick one category, and give yourself 90 days to build this loop without withdrawing a single dollar from it? Because if the answer is yes, you're not just trying to make extra money. You're practicing the exact muscle the wealthy live on, allocating capital into a system and letting it work. The second loop turns $100 into a skill that pays you repeatedly. Not a degree, not a 4-year plan, a targeted, practical skill that the market is already paying for. Here's how it works. Step 1. Invest that $100 in one very specific skill path. Not marketing, that's too vague. Think narrower. Short-form video editing. Simple website setups, thumbnail design. Your $100 might go into a focused online course, a couple of highly rated books, or a low-cost tool you need to practice. Step 2. You offer that skill as a simple service, not to everyone, to a very specific type of person who clearly benefits. Think of local coaches who need better YouTube thumbnails, or real estate agents who need their listings turned into short-form videos. Your goal isn't to become the world's best. Your goal is to become good enough to solve a clear problem for a small group of people. Step 3. The money you earn doesn't just become income, it flows back into improving the system. You use your first few payments to upgrade your tools, buy better templates, or take an advanced course to raise your prices. It becomes a repeatable circuit. Invest in the skill, deliver the service, earn, and reinvest to improve. But here's the trap that silently kills this loop. People expect instant mastery and instant money. The moment they don't get a client in the first week, the story in their head becomes, "It doesn't work. I'm not good enough. The market is too crowded." But the truth is, most markets aren't saturated with reliable, consistent people. They're saturated with people who quit after 2 weeks. If you stick with one lane for just 90 to 180 days, you become rare, and rare things are allowed to charge more. Think about this. If you took $100 and used it only to build one simple skill, what would your life look like a year from now if that skill reliably brought in a few $100s a month? That's no longer extra money, that's rent money, debt-destroying money. It's your first personal income engine. Now, the third loop is the most powerful and the most overlooked. Instead of reselling items or trading time for service, you use your $100 to create digital assets that can be sold over and over. This could be a simple digital guide, a Notion template, a set of checklists, or a paid newsletter. Here's the process. Step 1, you take your existing knowledge, even if it's basic, and turn it into something packaged and useful. If you've learned a skill from the second loop, you can create a starter template pack or a mini tutorial. Your $100 might go into a simple microphone, basic design software, or a small budget for promotion. Step 2, you publish that asset on platforms where people are already searching. And step 3, whenever the asset generates income, you don't think of it as side change. You treat it like a signal. That money flows back into better visuals, better versions of the product, or more content to drive traffic. Over time, you're earning because something you created once keeps doing the work for you. And here's the surprising part. Many digital asset loops don't start with some huge polished course. They start with something as simple as a $5 template that sells a handful of times a week. It feels insignificant until you realize you made it once, it keeps sewing, and you can stack multiple of these small assets into a network of tiny income streams. This is where the wealthy mindset shows. Most people are trained to sell time. The wealthy look for ways to own assets. A digital asset is just the beginner-friendly version of that idea. You're learning how to make something once and let it pay you again and again. Ask yourself, what problem have I already solved for myself that I could package into a tiny digital asset for someone just one step behind me? So, you've seen 3 loops you can start with about $100: reselling, skill to service, and digital assets. None of them require genius, but they all require a shift in thinking, from asking, how fast can I spend this, to asking, what loop can this $100 build for me? Some people will hear these 3 loops and think, nice ideas, maybe later. Others will take $100, protect it, and use it to build their first real cash flow system, starting today. If you want more videos that break down money systems the way school never did, hit subscribe and stick around, because this isn't about getting rich overnight. It's about building money loops that quietly change your life over time.